Do you feel like you're managing in the dark, that you're almost like flying an aircraft in fog? Do you ever feel like you have incredibly busy weeks, but you look back and the numbers sucked? Do you ever feel like you've got those weeks when you finally let go of that person causing a lot of friction on your team? You finally let them go, and then things just took off. There was a calmness and, importantly, a sense of game and fun in your practice. If you got any of those things going on, this episode is for you. Watch on. Hey everybody, Dr. Joel Parker here with the Standing Ovation Practice. This week we're talking about the Key Performance Indicator Series. Listen, I was 17 years in private practice and another 20 consulting literally thousands of privately owned practices just like yours. And what I've been able to do here is glean out some very, very simple principles to help you manage your practice. Here's some of them. Today we're talking about, again, the key performance indices. Why do we want to use these? One of the key things that you'll find to improve your performance in your practice is to gamify it and make it fun. For those of you that are sports fans, when you go to a football game or hockey game, basketball game, what do? You look at the score. So what we want to do here is start creating a score in your practice using the key performance indicators, these metrics of performance that you start to manage by. It's a great thing. If you can measure it, you can manage it. If you can manage it, you can improve it. Works off of that. So how do you get these? First of all, what we need you to do is get into your practice management software and start using weekly reports. We find here that if you look at the game of veterinary medicine, that there's a season that's the whole year. That season is divided into 12 games, which is the months, and each month has 4 quarters, which is the week. So the kind of general rule here, if you take care of the weeks, then you're going to have a good month. Take care of the months, you're going to have a good year. So we're starting to micromanage the practice down into a management period of time, which is the week. And so at the end of every week, what we want to do, get into your Shepherd, get into your EasyVet, get into your Avomark, your Neo, whatever you're using, and learn how to pull that weekly report. And we're going to get into later in the next episode on what to start looking at. The other piece of software you want to get familiar with is either QuickBooks or even the online Xero, so you can start getting a monthly profit loss report. We'll get into what to look at that later on. So we've got 2 reports. We got our weekly management report, our sales report that goes over what the revenue was, what the transactions were, new clients, things like that. And then we've got our monthly QuickBooks that's going to push out a profit loss statement looking at your profitability. Typically I would wait to the end of the year to look at my profitability. I'd get that report from the accountant. Some of you may be getting that. I'd get this report. It would show that I wasn't very profitable, but by that time, the year is over. There's nothing you can do about it. So you can imagine if you start tracking your profitability in your practice on a monthly basis, and let's say 1 month that goes up, that's good. You're doing something right. Let's say the next month that crashes, you've got time to go and correct it before the year ends. Pretty cool, hey? All right, so KPIs, what do we want to do with these? Ultimately, we want to pull the data out of your practice management software system and out of QuickBooks, and we want to put that data into Excel, and we want to start to graph it out. Because you'll find that when you're just looking at data on pieces of paper, you will miss trends, and that's what we want to look like. So then what we want to do with that then is through Excel or some other graphing program, start to graph it out. Pretty sexy, hey? Good. So when you start graphing things out, it's a very simple process. Is the trend on this graph, let's say graph A, is that good or bad? Is that expanding and growing, or is it collapsing and heading in the wrong direction? Right? That would be collapsing, right? There's our trend. On this graph here, graph B, is that heading in the right direction? Well, it's going sideways. And what we know about living on planet Earth, things either expand or they contract. If you don't put some positive pressure on this, it'll eventually come over here to graph A. But here's our final graph, C. Is that expanding and growing, or is it collapsing? No, it's expanding. It's heading in the right direction. So that's where you start to look at how you're managing the practice and getting into what is creating that growth. So bad, so-so, and good. What we want is all your key performance indicators upward trending. Now, sometimes they can be skyrocketing trending, and to be honest with you, that's a tough thing to manage. How do you hire staff around that? Some practices during the year will go from this downward trend to an upward trend as the season hits in the spring. For example, May 1st hits and all of a sudden the weather's good. We've got dogs and cats coming in with hit by cars and bite wounds and so forth. And then in the winter it crashes. That's called a roller coaster. And we've got some tools and techniques that we'll be going over at a later episode on how to handle that. Okay, guys? So listen, track your key performance indicators, pull the data out of your software program, get it graphed out on Excel so you can look and see what the trend is and start putting attention. This graph needs a lot of attention. This graph needs some attention. This graph is like, hey, keep doing what you're doing. Everything's going great. And what's cool about this too is that what the graphs do is that they keep you honest. We've all had crazy weeks where it seems like everybody's running, but the problem is when you look at the graph trend, it's down. Why are you so busy? Because you're handling all kinds of mistakes and confusions. You've got untrained people or unwilling people on your team that keep dropping the ball. Other times you can have weeks, let's say that you fire that dirtbag technician, now whoever that is, you fire that person in your practice that is creating friction and tension and mistakes, repeated mistakes. They're creating a lot of internal friction. You fire them and miraculously the next week the numbers go up and it seemed like it was a calm week. I've had weeks where my team was so gelled in with their muscle memory that when we get rid of that person, everybody relaxes, that purpose comes back into what everybody's doing and the practice just soars up. That's what I want for you guys. I want your practice to soar. Okay, so thanks for watching on this episode. Make sure to hit the like button down below. Make sure to subscribe. Make sure you turn on your notifications. Make sure you tell your friends. We'd love to build a great community on the standing ovation practice principle. And I will see you next time. Thanks for watching.